Clobberin time! Get those nerds! Nerds! What? It's Clobberin time! Clobberonimo!
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome, dear friends, to Clobberin Times, issue number 562 on YouTube. 1,262 overall of 14 years, and wild card Wednesday night. But we got a special wild card Wednesday night because I have a special guest with a special show. It is a Clobby'S Classic Comics Review special with my amazing guest and good pal and wrench extraordinaire, the great Dbud Martin. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, Clobby.
Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Well, good to see you, bud. Can't wait to talk some Iron Man.
And Tuska.
And Tuska, indeed. The Tuska man himself, George Tuska. So let's see here. Let's take care of some show notes to get all that out of the way before we get down to beeswax. Let's see here. What was it? Okay. Tomorrow night, of course, I will be hanging out with, and I want to thank the great Stone Loki, by the way, my good friend, for having me on the Comic Roundtable tonight. And I'll be at the great Tom Connors, channel 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Midnight's Edge After Dark, with that august body, and cannot wait. Always fun talking pop culture stuff with those brave fellows and ladies. And then, of course, tomorrow night, the Clubhouse is in session. That's right, Clobby'S Clubhouse, with our wonderful First Officer, Commander R.M. Briggs, and, of course, the great Chief Engineer himself, the extraordinary Mark D with AC. So please join us for that. I am looking forward to it. And then, of course, part 3, even though this is a poster for part 2, because I don't have the part 3 poster yet, of my buddy Nick Weiser's Comic Shop review show, or Comic Shop, I should say Friday Night Comic Shop show, where we're reviewing Adam Warlock run by Jim Starlin from the early 70s. What a great time we were having with that. So looking forward to that with that great group of fellas. And then Saturday night Star Trek, a special. Our wonderful First Officer will be on an away mission, and therefore she cannot be here this Saturday night. So, hey, we'll wing it. It'll still be Saturday night Star Trek. I will be on, and we'll think of something. We'll talk some Star Trek. It'll be Trek talk for sure. We just won't be reviewing any Deep Space Nine episodes. Phantom Outsider, I'll address that in a minute. Where were I? Anyway, so there's that. Let's see what else is going on. Coming soon. I'm gonna do it. I just don't know exactly. This is starting to be a daunting. I remember why I put this off last time. Now that I started working on this project again, but soon it will happen. Clobby'S top 25 all-time favorite comic book stories. And it may not seem difficult to you, but boys, it's killing me. I mean, yeah, you could say these images give away some things, but putting them in order and picking them all out and picking 25 of them, it's brutal. So And then, of course, Monday nights. I've just been having so much fun. And where did I put it? Where did I put my latest? Oh man, where are you? Well, I've been having fun doing this, reviewing Legion of Superheroes on my good buddy J Man's channel. And J Man, brother, it's been so much fun. Well, our third issue of that will be next week, and looks like I can't find it. I had a picture for the next one. Oops. I had a picture for the next one. And you know what I did? I forgot to put it up. There. Man, where are you, dude? Oh, there you are. There you are, you little tricky little man. Okay. So that's the one. Anyway, J Man's channel on Monday nights, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Standard Time. So much fun. We were tackling. You talk about a daunting task. What is it with me giving myself all these ridiculous tasks that seem impossible? In this case, reviewing every single exploit of the Legion of Superheroes. It's insanity, but we're doing it from 1958 to 1989. The real deal. There you go. Coming up next week, Monday night. There you go. Superboy number 86 and Adventure Comics number 282. Continuing in order the appearances of my beloved Legion of Superheroes with the great J-Man. So let's do with that. We'll do some shout outs and then we'll get going. Of course, one of our great wrenches is here with us tonight, the great Dbud Martin. So hey buddy, thank you so much for being here. Shout out Eric K, the bronze wrencher. Hope you're doing well, buddy, wherever you are out there. I don't know if he's in Vegas or what. Chris Persia, the Vindicated Wrench of the North. Yo, buddy, good to see you. Lord Thoth and lovely Lady Thoth, God of Wrenching, and Avon lives and long live the Legion Bud. My good buddy, partner in crime on earth, B, fellow Legionnaire reviewer, and the Wrench Without Fear, J-Man. Hungry Boy, Master de Glaboni, comics artist extraordinaire, and painter of the cover of Science Fiction Tales by R.M. Briggs, Super and Supreme, Kal-El, Maddie's Daddy, Wheeler of Richmionia, Thor in Vegas, and of course, that scamp, that scoundrel, that rascal, Fanty Outsidey. So, again,
no noses.
Who?
No noses.
No noses. I'm going to deal with Mr. Nose there in a minute. Before let's see here. Okay, who's with us tonight? Hey, look, speaking of Iron Man, right? Stark of Iron. What's up, buddy? Iron Stark himself. We have a $10 super chat. Naughty first officer. You shouldn't have done that. We love you. Raquel, who is indisposed tonight, so she dropped that off there. And I hope she's having a great time over there with our buddy Zach's. Clobby, I love you. Have a great show, gentlemen. Who are you calling, gentlemen? I love you, Raquel. Captain Infinity and beyond. He exists. Therefore, he don't. Andrew, 4, 6, and 2. Hello, Andrew. Thank you for being here. Brian Hepburn. Good to see you, buddy. Welcome. Claude Saling. Hey there. Let's see who else. I think. Oh, Princess Fiona's here. Hey there, Princess Fiona. It's lovely to see you. Oh my goodness. We just had so much fun hanging out with you Saturday night. Our new friend, the lovely Princess Fiona, is extraordinary. Hey, I hope you'll join us for Saturday Night Trek this week, even though it won't be the reviewing episodes, but we'll be having a lot of fun. And of course, I'm so glad to see you. And I hope you'll join us. Raquel will be here with us tomorrow night, and I hope you will join us for the clubhouse as well. Let Clobby decide what. We could do it and plan to live forever. Let Clobby decide what. No. Anyway, so what is a Clobby's Classic Comics review? Basically, it's what it says. We find some classic comic and we review it. Oh, let's take a look at our poll first, though. What do you say, that D-Bud? Why don't we look and see? Hey, Mexican Iron Man's here.
Mikey.
Now we're set up with Iron Man. I am Iron Man. Or does he say it like this?
I don't think Tusk ever drew him.
Tuska should draw him, though.
Yes.
What if that song added one word? I am Mexican Iron Man. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, it'd be followed by the sound of shattering glass.
Of course, but
Yeah.
it would be worth it. All right, where are we at? Okay, where were I? Oh, so basically, let me look at our poll. We have 10 votes so far. The question was, who is your favorite Iron Man artist? Bob Layton is in first place at 50%, 30% Gene Colan, and our buddy George Tuska, who will be celebrating tonight, is at 20%. At least he got a vote, though, because poor old Don Heck got 0 votes so far. Dbud, isn't that sad?
Yeah, that is sad.
Sad, but yeah, hey.
Don Heck was the originator.
It's fair to say those will be your most important Iron Man artists. Fiona,
Definitely.
We're a channel that celebrates the King of Comics, Jack Kirby, here more than anybody ever. But when it comes to Iron Man artists, he actually, it's arguable that he did play some part in his early creation. And he drew a couple of the early comics here and there, but for the most part, Don Heck and some other guys and George Tuska did most of the art on Iron Man. He did some issues of Iron Man here and there, like in what was the Tales of Suspense.
Yes,
Kirby did some,
a couple of early ones,
but he's never considered. And you tell me what you think about this, Dbud. The way you would consider him a Fantastic Four the Fantastic Four artist, the Thor artist, like Spidey the Ditko artist, or Ramita being the Ditka. I mean, when you think of things that characters that go in line with Kirby, there are thousands of them, but Iron Man is not one that I would put right there as a Kirby. You see what I'm saying?
No, he only did a couple of interior arts for Iron Man issues. He did several covers.
He did covers.
Yeah, but he didn't do a lot of the interior on Iron Man comics. So,
and believe me, hey Pat, that's what my bias towards Kirby knows no bounds. If I could, I'd give him credit for creating Superman and Batman and everything. But I'm kidding. But
I'll be showing a little bit of Kirby art tonight.
Look. So we do love Kirby around here. We do love Kirby. Hey, so anyway, we have a review for you tonight, folks. And my good buddy Dbud Martin here, I think it's safe to say, and we'll show something about this later after we get through reviewing. We got some great stuff to show you after we review this comic, Iron Man #6. He's written a book about Iron Man. Would that not be correct?
Yes. Well,
you want to show
not necessarily Iron Man, but Iron Man's armor.
Okay.
That's I wasn't ready to bring that up.
You don't have to.
I've sent it to. I've sent it to. Actually, Mexican Iron Man's got a copy of it as well as you.
Cool.
Something I did about. Good grief! It's been like 13 years ago. I think I did it. Where I went through. It was something in the Iron Man letters page. Way back in the, I think the first appearance of the War Machine armor, that was saying, "Oh well, we've never seen a full listing of all of Iron Man's armors and weaponry and all that." And I thought, "Oh well, I can do that because I have every single Iron Man comic." So I went through in my books and kind of compiled a list of all of that, going through each of the issues. And then I wanted to do something like a book, but at the time I couldn't do that. And of course now with all of the being able to grab all the images and scan images in and word processing and all of that, I was able to actually write one and put it together into a book. And then of course like I said, I send it to you.
Yes.
And
I loved it, by the way. Let's say hello to Apollome's Minion and the Pepperoni. Hey, Apollo, I hope you're doing well, my dear. Good to see you. You can just do that later. I sidetracked this. I'm sorry.
Actually, I've got I've got it. If I can share the. You
can do a screen share if you want. We can go ahead and review the comic and show it later. You don't have to be on the spot right now.
I could show it really quick, just the.
Sure.
Basics of it. Let me see if I can get the. Get the right screen up here. Shrink my.
Yeah, but Mexican Iron Man says he has it proudly at his house. Nice. Because he is Mexican Iron Man. Find it? Like I said, don't worry about it. You want to just go ahead and get a review going, and we'll just.
Oh, no, I got it here. You can pop that up. I say, do you see that now?
Yeah.
Should have a. Oh, there you go. So it's the
cool.
A Leighton. That was a pinup from a Leighton book.
Yeah.
Popped in there.
1963 through 1990, the best ones.
Shrink that down a little bit. Yeah, but this is.
What is the name of the book? Iron Man Armors?
Oh, it's just Iron Man Armors from 63 to 1990. That's where I kind of kept my collection at. After that point, I just didn't care for the book as much anymore. But I have them all classified into different models of armor. When Marvel has done, they've done some like books like the Iron Manual. They did many years ago.
Yes.
Some of the other things they've done on Iron Man, they tend to just go by the aesthetic look of the armor and go, oh, well, it's the gray armor and the gold armor and the red and gold armor and the later ones they've done on. But when you get into what was actually going on in the comics, there are times when he's upgraded the armor and obviously made changes to it. But he didn't didn't change the outer look of it. So I just classified him in a way where basically any change to his chest plate, since that would be the major part of his armor, would be a kind of a new model, and anything else would just be maybe a sub model.
Right. We'll talk about that more when we get through the review.
You've got like the gray armor, which he started out with, and he actually, the second model is after he got back from being injured in Vietnam, he actually trimmed it down from the original one, and it was originally gray. As you can see in this little panel here,
of course,
and this is a little bit of Kirby layouts on it, but he painted it gold. And this goes through every single thing I could find of all the different
cool
little weapons and accessories that he had. I mean, like these fluoroscopic goggles, the drills, mirrors, radar, and electric clippers. His old boot jets. The first time he ever had him was actually in the second issue.
Hey,
the first time he showed him.
Wagner and Snuggy Jr. Okay, well, cool. Like I said, we'll take a more closer look at it after we get a review.
And there's a beautiful Kirby cover.
I love it.
I love this cover. One. Yeah. So but it goes through all of those armors throughout that time.
Cool.
So yeah.
My copy's on my old computer, so I would have to. Hello, the lovely Sherry's here. Beautiful girl. What's up?
Hi, Sherry.
Sherry, always love to see you. So tonight, folks, we're reviewing. Well, let's just put it up there. Tonight's review, folks, is Iron Man number six from 1968. It is written by the late great R.G. Goodwin, with of course penciler the great George Tuska, who would have been how old today?
107 years old.
170. Wow. My goodness.
He was born in 1916.
Gotcha.
And he was 52 years old when he drew this comic.
Oh, wow. My goodness. Good Lord. But by the way, inked by Johnny Craig, who was also a good artist in the golden age, who did a lot of inking for Marvel back then. And Dave C., what's up, dude? What's up, man?
And Johnny Craig was also he worked for, of course, for EC Comics and was the lead artist on, I think, the Vault of Horror.
Right.
And then you can definitely see it here.
Absolutely. So this issue starts out, of course, it's this is a character, the Crusher, who's appeared a while back in a Tales of Suspense.
Tales of Suspense 91.
Okay. And when it throws you off when you see that he's not as popular as Crusher Creel, but he almost looks like him, the Absorbing Man.
Yeah, a
At
little
a
bit.
glance, when I saw Crusher, I'm like, is he gonna be Crusher Creel? Oh, because I didn't really remember this character that much because I never really. I mean, I don't think I've read this issue. I don't know how long. I think I had one of those Masterworks. So, I mean, good God, I haven't seen it in a long time. So that's where I defaulted to. I'm like,
Well,
what a minute.
yeah, this character only this specific version because they did do later Crushers, but
Yes, they
this
did.
Crusher character actually only appears in two comics, which was Tales of Suspense 91, which is first appearance,
And then this one.
and then this one, yes.
Yep. So the Invincible Iron Man. This is obviously a really good scan of this, folks, because it was taken from a trade or a Masterworks or what have you. Vengeance cries the Crusher. This guy's a one-note villain who wants revenge. Rawingi. Stan Lee directs another dazzling drama of dynamic daring and definitively done by Archie Goodwin, George Teska, Johnny Craig, and Sam Rosen. So basically, it starts out he just bursting out of the ground. There, it turns out that the last time they fought, Iron Man used this machine on him to make him crumble down, fall down into the earth, into Subterranea, to hang out with Tyrannus.
Yeah, and the Crusher's, I mean, his powers basically he's extremely dense and muscular. So
yes.
he weighs he's like 8 feet tall and weighs something like 1,000 pounds. And Iron Man defeated him by using a centrifugal force ray, which increased his weight even more, and it made him so heavy that the crust of the earth couldn't even hold him, and he wound up plunging in. You'll see they have a little recap of it in a page or two.
Now, Archie Goodwin was a very good writer who was very prolific. He did a really lot of good stuff. And this, of course, was one of him really in his early days. And I love how he tries to write the accent for Crusher.
Yes, correct. Crusher is supposed to be from a nondescript island in the Caribbean, run by somebody called El Presidente. Wears a military outfit and smokes cigars.
Bueno.
Don't think he's just made up.
Yes, I wish to be taken in secret to the place called Long Island, to factory of Tony Stark. I chihuahua. The guy says, Salintio, peasant, and pray that it doesn't. For without your vote, your life means less to me than even that of my wrath is directed upon Iron Man. So it's just, anyway. So he wants to
set up there. Yeah.
Right. He wants, I think Tuska does a good job. There's
well, even on the splash page, it's a good splash page there with him bursting free. You can see his musculature and all. And that's something that George Teska knew about because he was a sort of a bodybuilder. He lifted weights and stuff when he was young. So he was,
so I've heard,
it really ripped and tall. He was 6'2" and blonde and ripped, and the ladies really liked George Teska.
Wow.
He was quite popular with the ladies.
There's something about a Tuska face, though. They do all sort of look kind of the same. I've always thought his faces.
Yeah, there are some features,
especially later, but yeah. Like this guy right here. I don't know. I do see some Kirby look. There's a lot of Kirby influence, especially in the inking.
Oh yeah,
Johnny Craig.
Yeah,
because this was at a time where Stan was never at the office much. His edict was draw like Kirby. No, he didn't mean it literally. He didn't mean like trace him or anything. But he said, do it like Jack. That's all I want you. Other than he didn't say that to Ditko, but everybody else, I don't care if it was George or whoever, said, do it like Kirby.
And you'll see in a few pages some heavy Kirby influence on the layouts. Yes,
so much in here, and which, by the way, he does nicely.
Yes.
And so we open up, we get to see this. Remember, this is Jasper Sitwell character, who's nothing like he is in the movies, of course.
No, he was, of course, he was first introduced in the Nick Fury Shield stories in Strange Tales, and he became a supporting character in Iron Man in the last few issues of Tales of Suspense, because they'd kind of written out actually the previous Crusher story. The end of it was when Happy Hogan and Pepper Potts got married.
Right.
And they were his supporting cast. So they left the book. So they needed new supporting characters. And Jasper Sitwell was one of them. He's coming to Stark Industries to help security, because S.H.I.E.L.D. wanted him there. And, don't yield, back S.H.I.E.L.D. And then you see the girl in the scroll back to the previous page there, Clobby. That the girl there is Janice Cord, who became Tony Stark's love interest since Pepper Potts was gone. She's the one that they started to have her as his love interest. And spoiler alert, she's also the first character, like supporting character, I remember seeing die in the comics.
Wow. And never came
long
back.
Before Gwen Stacy. She
Before.
was the first one that I saw that was killed off in the comics.
Yes. And by the way, Fiona, that's true. Letters were important, but letters actually did pretty well. Sam Rosen.
Artie Semick and Sam Rosen.
Those guys did a lot of work.
They edited everything.
Letters.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. So anyway, Crusher, go ahead.
That's him. He's hit by the ray from Iron Man. He's plunged through the earth, and he finally comes crashing down into a cavern.
Caramba, some matter of civilization. He actually said caramba.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Maybe we should get Mexican Iron Man in here. He can read some of the.
Hey, if he wants to come and hang out with us and review this comic, we should have got him to come hang out with us and review this comic. He loves Iron Man. So
that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, so they mentioned they tie it into X-Men number 35 because this or at least sort of
which Stan is wrong, and we should get a no prize for that because it was X-Men 34.
Yes. Wow. Well spotted. My goodness. I haven't read that in so long, which is the reason he's absent from the subterranean stronghold, blah, blah, blah. Tyrannus, though, he was another.
And speaking of X-Men, when George Tuska came back to Marvel, one of the first things he did was he drew a few issues of the X-Men.
He did.
Like, was it 39, 40, and 41? Maybe 42.
George got around.
Yep.
George was reliable. George was fast. He was talented. And so this is basically, this guy is just this, not a lot of nuance to Crusher, folks. He's just, he made some kind of serum for himself to turn him into a big time Hulk wannabe. It wore off a little bit finally, but he finds the means to recreate it in Tyrannus' laboratory. Once again, I am the Crusher.
And Princess Fiona is absolutely right. The dynamicism is amazing in these. I think this is a good example of Tuska really showing off he kind of is doing a little aping of Kirby's style, but
yes,
he does. I mean, the action stuff in this is really good, and visually it really tells the story, which I think is one of the reasons why I gravitated towards buying Marvel comics at the time. I mean, I was 6 years old and I couldn't really read yet. I was just starting to learn to read. And I first bought a lot of DC comics, but then once I started getting Marvels, I kept buying Marvels because I could follow what was happening in them without being able to read. And I think it was just that Marvel method of letting the artists tell the story that did that for me.
There was so much more exciting at this point than DC was in terms of their storytelling. Dynamicism is a wonderful term for it. Fiona, and absolutely. Hey, JT Kirk, good to see you, buddy. And hey, there's Kal-El. You're absolutely right, though, Fiona. That was one of the benefits of having Jack Kirby to give these people, to be the template for all these comics. Even when he couldn't draw it himself, they were saying, be Kirby-esque. And look at, I thought George Tuska, if you look at this comic, really does just a great job with the action. It's exciting to look at. Yeah. So, and again, I love that armor. Sitwell's a bit of a wiener head in this anyway.
Which he is. Then they play it up. I mean, the whole time he's there, they play it up. And in this story, they started to, actually, the next page, they show someone that they've been building up a little bit at this time, which is the character of Whitney Frost, who is the big M.
Madam Mask or something?
She becomes Madam Mask, yes. Actually, the story after this, it's a two-parter. She winds up escaping. They finally find out that she's the big M of the Magia, and she takes off, and after that, she actually crashes, and that is when she becomes Madam Mask. But here she's saying how she's kind of been playing with Jasper here because she's trying to get into Stark's weapons. Yeah. She wants to steal some of his weapons, and she's kind of having problems with the other men there in the Magia because she's a woman and she's leading this criminal organization.
Right.
And they're like, oh, we need a man in charge. And she's like, I got to do something to show these guys that I am the boss. And her plan is, which starts coming through in the next issue, is to raid Stark Industries and steal some of the weaponry, the secret weaponry there.
I think we later find out that she was like Count Nefarious' daughter or something.
Yes.
Kind of thing. Princess Fiona, that's an excellent cogent point. She says, I thought Todd McFarlane was an amazing illustrator, but it was really difficult to read his pages. These, by contrast, are a pleasure to follow. Hello there, Grim. Good to see you. Gwagnar, buddy. And the reason I think that is, Fiona, in my opinion, is, yes, he could make nice pictures, but he was never, he never had any real cartoonist training. I mean, meeting McFarlane. These cartoonists were great storytellers, and they're telling you a story. It's called sequential art for a reason, or as was it Scott McCloud somewhat, pretentiously put it, juxtapose pictorial images in deliberate sequence. Yes, telling a story though with pictures is, even though some of these artists are really great at static pictures that are nice, you kind of undervalue the guys like Tuska, or even the Buscemi's of the world, and of course, naturally the Kirby's, goes without saying, can tell you a great story in panels. And that's very important with comic books, obviously. Or was, anyway, at one point. And Crusher busts through here. He's decided, again, pretty simple stuff. He just wants to beat up Iron Man. And you had two little plots going on at once. You had that, and then you had, as you mentioned, the lady who wants to break in and steal Iron Man's weapons. And here comes Crusher.
This fan, look, this is a very Kirby-esque page.
Yes.
Especially the bottom right one where he's getting hammered. I swear that looks just like another Kirby panel for me.
Indeed. No higher compliment can be paid an artist of that time.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of the Iron Man Submariner battle in the Tales to Astonish issue that he penciled.
Now that, even though Kirby didn't draw a lot of Iron Man, that's one of the greatest Iron Man battles in comics ever.
Yep.
I love it, man. I love it. And which one of them got sick and couldn't finish it? Was Colin got sick and couldn't finish it, right?
Yeah. Gene Colan, he only did like the first page, I think, or two, and then he got the flu. So Kirby came in and did a decent job filling in, I guess.
Well, we have 22 votes so far. The question, of course, everyone, is who is your favorite Iron Man artist? And I went with them, who, in my opinion, were the important ones, the ones who who contributed to the character the most. And in first place, I don't get a vote, but if I did, I would have voted for Bob Layton personally. And he's in first place, but our boy Tuska's at least in second place with 18%. And Gene Colan's got 14% in third place, and at least Don got a vote. So that's good.
Okay. Yeah.
God bless Don Heck. He is kind of a co-creator after all.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, Mark D with a C? Hey there, Graham. Hey there, Real Wade Nation. Good to see you. So, again, very basic stuff. He wants to beat up Iron Man, and Iron Man don't want to be beat up, pretty much, right?
The usual.
Yes, the usual Marvel comic.
And you can see the previous page, Whitney's going, hey, everybody's panicking out of here. This is my chance to sneak into the restricted area and see if I can't steal one of Stark's super weapons.
Yeah, why not? Makes sense to me.
And more Kirby-esque action there.
Yep.
And
action flying off the page. Nice job by Tuska here. Really nice job on the inking as well by Johnny Craig.
Yeah, I think Johnny Craig to me was the best inker for Tuska on these books. Definitely.
I know he does the next one because I looked at it. I hope we're a ways away from Coletta, please.
Oh yeah, we are. At this point, yes. I mean, Johnny Craig did the inks on for about the next year on this book. Yeah, and it was, to me, it was really the best stuff that Tuska did on the book.
Absolutely. And for those who may or may not know, this is at a time when nobody knew who Iron Man was. This is not like the movie where 2 seconds they talk about the bodyguard ID, and then they just throw it in the garbage can, and he goes, "I am Iron Man. I am Iron Man." So, no, no one knows that that's Tony Stark in the armor, which is how long was it that way? 40, 50 years, maybe 40. So how long?
Oh,
I mean,
30,
40?
It was at least 30. I don't know what happened after that because I stopped getting books in 99.
Me too.
I think it was the last books I got.
I think as far as a regular reader of the Iron Man comic, I probably stopped after Leighton left the book or somewhere along those lines, and didn't read it that much throughout the 90s. But to my understanding, hello, Alejandro Flores Ibarra. Hey there. It is good to see you, sir. So I don't know when it started either, but in fact, that's the thing, Dbud, I had not been reading current Iron Man comics for a long time, and I went to see the movie, and I'm sure you did too. And
oh yes,
I was, again, I couldn't stand Ultimate, so I didn't touch them. I wasn't reading current Marvel comics, so I was living in the past. I thought, Iron Man's the bodyguard, and Tony Stark, no one knows who he's. So in the movie scene, when he tells when Coulson tells him the cover story about that, he's going to be the the bodyguard cover story, and what's his face kind of poo-poos it a little bit, but he goes, okay, whatever, I'll do it. I thought that was what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And then when he stops, he goes, I am Iron Man. I'm like, what? And I love the movie, but I was mad. I was pissed off at first. I'm like, what? Are you crazy? No. Now I got used to it, but it's like, why? I like that he had a secret identity, but I mean, they didn't want to deal with it. And maybe in the comics it had been changed. And of course, I figured out later, I talked to people who've been reading the comics, and they're like, yeah, they've been doing that for a while. And I'm like, well, screw them. But what the hell? That just is something. Now it's common, it's commonplace, right?
I
For the character, just the way it is. I like the old way. I know. Get off my lawn, you damn kids.
Yeah, it says Whitney was sitting there sneaking around. And of course, when the wall comes down, she just happens to be on the other side. Yeah. And the Crusher goes, well, we can end this fight now because I'll either get what I want or I'll hurt the girl. The usual trope. And Jasper, being infatuated with Whitney, is thinking he's going to attack the Crusher.
Yes.
And then, save his girl. And nope, can't do that.
Jasper.
And so Iron Man has to, take him out.
A deal. Yes. He makes a deal to get, after he pops, what's his face, knocks him out. You better make sure you don't, he even talks about how he has to control his punch. So he makes a deal to let Weirdo Crusher, make him give the same fate that he had being.
Yeah, that's the centrifugal force ray he used. Yes.
Right. And so his wicked plan is to take, But he wants to do it outside so everybody can watch him be
Everybody
humiliated.
can watch him humiliate him. Yeah.
That's the universal fall of the supervillain. So anyway, that's not a good move. You know, you probably shouldn't have done that, Crusher, but you're not very smart, are you? And anyway, so Tony basically turned.
It has a safety on it.
There's a safety on it. And
the little thing, it's not working, and he goes, "Oh, well, you got to take the safety off." And he's
and
like,
his hands are too big.
Yeah, and he breaks it, and it explodes. And so Iron Man takes him up to get him away from everybody, and he's smacking him in the air, and he's like, "You dummy! I can't hold on to you when you're smacking me in the air. You're making me lose my grip." And that's a great shot of him plunging.
This is a great page.
Head down into the water.
Right. Nice page.
Oh, yeah, beautiful layout there. But he goes,
Yes.
"Oh, well, that doesn't hurt me. That can fall from that height, but my body, it's just so rock hard, it's not going to hurt me."
Of course.
Hitting the water.
Of course.
But then little problem. One small problem is that he weighs so much that he can't swim to the surface.
My weight, the very bulk that saved me from the fall, plunges me down far. Caramba! Even with my strength, my power, I won't have enough air in my lungs to reach the surface. I'm so bollocksed. Yeah, so you're screwed, dude.
And I mean, back in those days, usually something would happen, and they'd, some submarine came by or something and saved him. You'd think,
yeah.
But no, as
No.
Phantom Outsider pointed out in the chat earlier, that no, he drowns. This is it.
Yep. Too bad.
And many years later, in a Daredevil story, they talked about it. So they do an autopsy on him and figure out his formula and all that. But yeah, so he actually does die here.
Yeah,
it's uncommon. And then
of course,
at the end here, you have poor old Sitwell's a little embarrassed in front of his girl, and she's feeling a little guilty. Oh, I'm the big M, the head of the Magia, and I shouldn't allow myself to feel any sentiment for Jasper, even though he tried to sacrifice himself for me.
Wow, he is just
so corny.
What a doofweed. Yeah. And remember, they made him so different in the movies, but what else is new right there?
Oh,
right?
yeah, completely different. Yeah.
So basically, it's a very, very quick, it's just one issue. So the comic goes by extremely quickly because it's just a fight. There are little bitty subplot threads running through it because that's the way Marvel Comics, were back then. Always were, really. All in all, just I think a extremely well laid out, put together comic by George Tuska and Johnny Craig, and just a marvelous job all the way around. That Stan had
it's beautifully laid out. Yeah, and I think it was Fanti that asked, why are we doing this particular issue? And the reason why is because this was the first Iron Man comic that I bought off a spinner rack in 7-Eleven on Alameda Avenue in Burbank in July of 1968.
Show them that there. Look at that
copy I still have. This is not the original one I had, because the one I had, I got it when I was 6, so I didn't handle it very well.
That's still a great cop. That's a nice shape, huh?
Yeah, this one's in pretty good shape. There's a little bit of some chipping at the top though on this, but
beautiful.
Other than that, it's in really great condition. But this was the first Iron Man comic that I picked up, and because I was able to enjoy this story without being able to read all the dialogue, I still was able to enjoy it, and it got me into the character. And a lot of that was down to George Tuska's layouts and the simple way in which he was able to tell the story through the art. And as I mentioned earlier, I think that's why I gravitated towards Marvel Comics. Now, I did buy some other comics from that 7-Eleven.
From that very same week, huh?
By the way,
Look at this.
It's across the street. Well, I don't think it's there anymore, but it was across the street from the back lot of Disney Studios in Burbank. This
my goodness.
issue of what was that?
Oh my.
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
This is
Some,
one of my
I don't know who
favorite-
that character is. Rock guy.
I never heard of him.
But I bought
never
this
heard of
from the exact same 7-Eleven that
One of
same month. I don't know if it
one
was
of
the same week, but it was the same month.
One of my favorite covers.
Yeah,
That's
a good one.
During
I
Kirby.
think the guy who drew this was pretty good
Kirby's
too.
heyday. Yeah, he was all right. You know,
And that same month, I also bought
I mean,
a
we had
DC
Tusker.
comic. Here's a
We had
DC comic.
Kirby and Prime Kirby and Prime Ditko in the same month.
And the funny thing is that the only DC comic that I bought at that time that I continued to buy was this title, which is
That's a great
Steve
book.
Ditko.
Prime
And
Ditko, at this
Ditko-
point, man.
Yeah, and Ditko was doing it on his own. So he was working the same way. It's still the Marvel method of being,
Doing his own
he was
stuff.
laying it all out. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, maybe that's why of all the ones I got, I was getting the Creeper because it was a Ditko book and it was the Marvel, essentially a Marvel-y done book in which I could just tell what was going on by looking at the pictures. And there was one other DC book I picked up that month, though.
Oh my God, I love it. And that's a
Which
rare
is this-
issue, the one with Superman on it.
Yeah,
I
and
love
it's
the
got,
Interior Five.
and I picked it up because
Look
look
who's
who's
on
in
there.
it.
Yep.
That's I think that's the Kooky Quartet or something like that.
Yep.
Which is a spoof of the Fantastic Four.
Nice.
And
I can't believe they got away with that. in
you
the DC
should
comic.
have this one, Clobby.
I should have it. I don't have it. I don't have
Just
any of
look
my
at that.
FFs anymore.
And look,
Oh,
he
my
blew himself to
goodness.
pieces.
I love the
And-
Inferior Five.
I mean, literally blew himself to pieces. And then they tried to glue him back together.
How do you get away with this? Well, I know how.
Didn't do a good job on the glue job, but
They got away with it because DC owned the damn distributor. But yeah. Those are
well,
great, dude.
it's a
I love
spoof.
'em.
It's just like not
It's
brand
spoofery.
X. Yeah,
Line brand X,
but
yeah.
those are those are all books that came out that same month. And
I love.
like I
it,
said,
man.
I was 6 years old. That's when I just started really buying comics on a regular basis. Was that 1968 is when I first started getting them. And again, I couldn't read. It wasn't really till the next year I was able to start really reading all the dialogue and such. But that, those Marvels are the ones I picked up. And I mean, the Creeper only lasted 6 issues, so that didn't last too long.
Well,
but
you
I
weren't
was
that much
picking
older
up-
than me. If it makes you feel
Yeah.
any better, you weren't that much older than me.
No,
You only have about a couple of years there.
just a
dude.
couple of years. Yeah. But I was getting comics before you.
You were.
Yeah.
You had to be. There's no way I could have bought those.
And my
I'd have
sister,
been 4.
my sister and I would go down. We'd just walk. We were only a few blocks away from that 7-Eleven, and we'd walk down there. And she would pick up like Richie Rich comics or I
Yeah.
think like Casper, and I was getting the Marvels. I got like Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Hulk. And then I was also picking up the Marvel Collector Item Classics, which was another book. I got that month, but I don't have a copy of the one that came out that month.
Nice.
Since it was all reprints, I've got all reprints and other versions.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love that. For those who may have wondered again, because again, like you said, it was asked why this issue. Another reason was because I don't know how long ago it was when you started hanging out here and we started talking about George Tuska, but it's been a while since we've known each other now, since you've been hanging out in the chat. And I remember one night, way back when you first started hanging out here, we were talking about. I think I was making fun of George Tuska, and you said, "Well, I like George Tuska. You're a fan," and that was around when we started really, learning what a Iron Man fan you were. And what I was trying to tell people, I talk about this a lot here, as you well know. Now I'm really big into all the behind the scenes stuff of comics history, artists, all that stuff. But back then, when I was a kid, all I knew was what I could see. When I was 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, 17, whatever it was, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the people drawing these things. All I knew is if I looked at art and thought it was yucky, I would go, "Yeah, he sucks." And I didn't know why it sucked. I didn't know that this was like 60 and 70-year-old men barely scraping by, doing a job to make ends meet. I just knew that all I knew is I bought a George Perez cover Justice League and got home and it was Don Heck on the inside, or I would pick up a comic and it was be Tuska that, I didn't know that Vinnie Coletta was ruining it or any of that kind of stuff. I just knew that I didn't like it. And I would see Tuska's name and so I used to make fun of him and stuff like that. But wasn't everyone like that? If you didn't like the artist when you were a kid, you just said, ugh, he sucks. But by the way, now
certainly when you're younger, yeah.
But by now, of course, by today's standards, but I look at any of the old guys and go, man, I didn't like that much back then, but still. So you and I, of course, have talked about Tuska on and off for years, and you made me. I mean, I'd seen some of his better Iron Man stuff, which was early on, but then I'd seen so much of. Let's see, I'm trying to think. What was it? He's done some stuff that I really did not like. Like what was it? I'm trying to think of some of his other series that he's done later after this, way after this, in the late 70s. Did he work on Champions for a while?
Yeah, he did Champion. He did Black Goliath.
Black Goliath, that's right.
That was stuff that Vinny was inking.
Right. Power Man.
Yeah, I did Power. Oh, yeah. Hero for Hire, Power Man. He did that title. He was still doing good work on that. And he had Billy Graham was doing the inks on a lot of that. On some of those. He was doing the covers. Graham was doing the covers, but he was doing the inking on the interior.
Graham was a great artist.
Tuska's work, yeah. But he did some stuff like in the early 70s. He was doing some DC stuff. Like Teen Titans. He had a short run on Teen Titans. Right. He did some Legion issues.
He did. He did some stuff. I'm sorry that even today I can't excuse. Is not fond of. But then again, I can't draw a stick figure, so I should be more sensitive. But this here is marvelous, if you'll pardon the pun, work. It's great stuff. I'm partial to Kirby. No one touches that. But for someone to be there, being told, "Hey, we need you to draw like Jack," and him giving you a comic that gives you a lot of that feel that a Kirby book does, is remarkable. And the guy had a great career, way before this, by the way. I mean,
he started in comics in the late 30s, and he worked with Will Eisner at the
Eisner Iger, Eisner Iger Studios and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
And he did that for several years. He drifted to he wanted to do more freelance than working a salaried job. And he worked in his son's bedroom was his studio. But he worked from home more then. But he did a lot of, they were kind of sweatshops for comics work. They did it for a bunch of publishers. They just cranked out artwork for them. And he worked on Shark Brody. It's an old one, Golden Age one that he worked on. But then he wound up he got drafted during the war. He was in the Army, and I think he was stationed in South Carolina. So he didn't leave the States, but he was doing drawing things for artillery. And so he was really good at doing weaponry and such because of his experience from that. But he also did he worked on things for Eisner he split off on his own from the other guy and doing his Spirit book, and George did some ghosting of him on some Spirit work. George actually did a lot of ghosting of different people. He even ghosted probably a little bit of John Romita.
Yeah. Dabman Walking. What's up, buddy?
But he did work on the Adventures of Captain Marvel. And he did it, they wanted it done in their house style. So he did it in that house style. So he was able to do a lot of other people's artwork. He was a very fast at drawing, and he did a lot of his own inks back at that time. He preferred doing pencils, but he'd do inks. Some of the early stuff he did with when he came back to Marvel in the 60s was inking. And I actually got some examples of that.
Let's take a look at some of the stuff you got, by the way.
Actually,
little show and tell. Dad, man, good to see you there, buddy. I'm glad you're all here tonight talking some Iron Man.
This is my
look at this.
My crusty old Tales of Suspense. This was the first thing when he came back, because after the big thing he did in the 50s was he worked on Lev Gleason's Crime Does Not Pay book, which was a huge selling crime book, true crime book. And it was one of the things that good old Dr. Wordham used as an examples in his his crazy book. And so, of course, that went away, and George went into doing newspaper strips, and the big one was Buck Rogers, and that eventually dried up. That they ended that strip, and when that ended, he wound up getting work at Marvel. And the first artwork he did was from this Tales of Suspense issue. This is old Tales of the Watcher. This was the backup in Tales of Suspense to Iron Man for a few issues before they brought Captain America into the split book. And you can see here, it's not quite, he was still under the influence of doing the newspaper strip. So the artwork in this is a little bit more like that. It's not quite as dynamic.
Right.
It's more, you can kind of see it. It almost looks like a newspaper strip. And the way the art is.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a bit simpler and not really as dynamic. And that's when supposedly Stan went, no, you gotta do it this way. And supposedly he jumped up on his desk and did all these Kirby-esque poses and said, you gotta draw it this way.
Yeah.
And apparently he does. He go, okay, I can do that.
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember him talking about that.
Yeah, there's even in the Art of George Tesca book, I think John Romita says that's the story, at least he heard. And then we're talking about Kirby. So later, this is Tales of Suspense number 70. And you see here, this is George Tesca inking Kirby.
Yep. Boy, you can see it too. Good Lord, you can see it. Those faces, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And he went on to do.
It's not an insult, but you can tell.
Oh yeah, you can see like here. Yeah, you can see it here at these faces too. That's definitely a Tesca-like face.
Yes, and a distinct way of drawing faces that later, I guess that's kind of why I had a problem with some later. Was that right there is not as crazy as they started looking later.
Yeah, it kind of gets more like, it's sort of like the way Ditko's art went. It doesn't look, in the later years, it didn't look anything like what he was doing in the 50s and 60s.
True.
So, but that was early inking jobs. But then, of course, he finally got the job doing Iron Man. This was the first issue that he did, which was just the one before the one we were just reviewing.
Oh, wow.
Issue number 5. This is sort of this might have actually been an inspiration for the Terminator, this story, only a little backwards. This is supposed to be like a supercomputer that Tony Stark creates in the future that causes a totalitarian like Earth. But instead of somebody going back and trying to kill Stark, they take Stark and bring him to the future to try to defeat the computer. So
did Harlan Ellison try to sue him for this?
Maybe. But this kind of isn't in any continuity. I mean, there's no connection with this story to anything that was currently going on in the book. So this seemed like it was a tryout book for Tesca. And it did well because, I mean, just even the first splash page in it, you can see it's much more dynamic than what he was doing in that Tales of the Watcher story.
The layout's amazing.
Yeah. And you've got some real nice big splashes. And
Nice. Dynamic indeed. Wow. Healy Chow, what's up, dude? Roll that tide, buddy.
And that's a nice. This is a nice Kirby cover. Really like this one. I mean, it's a Kirby-esque like cover. It's a. Yep. This is Tuska doing the Gladiator, and he's cutting the Iron Man logo, which was pretty neat. But the next issue is actually the one that. This is where he and this is another really great cover. I thought I love
that cover. I've always loved that cover.
Great pose.
Yes.
I mean, this is to me that is this picture here of Iron Man that 60s, early 70s Iron Man outfit. That is the definitive picture of it.
My favorite. My favorite armor.
But what Tuska started doing is next several issues of Iron Man, he tried to see the panel layout here where they're not square. Instead of having the usual, rectangles of artwork, he's got all these angled. He tried to experiment a little bit. I think it's probably a little bit of the influence from people like Steranko that were doing different things. Yeah. So he's got all these odd shaped panels.
Nice.
And he did this for the next several issues in the book.
Yes, you're right. I think Steranko's a good way to note for that. Wow.
And then poor old Jasper. This is that's Whitney Frost running away. Oh, I got to stop her, but I can't because I've got a crush on her. But she flies off to go crash it somewhere in the Everglades and becomes Madame Mask.
Madame Mask. Yes.
Now,
Sonia says, Dutch comics? Whatever do you mean? Dutch comics? Dutch comics? I don't know if I've seen any Dutch comics. I've seen Danish comics.
This is a
greatness.
Later part of Tuska's is way later, issue 99. But I just wanted to show this one because I really love it. This is my favorite armor, which is the horned helmet. And this is some Tuska artwork with that. And I just love these shots of that armor.
I love the way Kane drew that armor, but it was only on covers, but still. Oh, as in Dutch angles. Got you there, Princess.
But he kept but Tuska stuck with the book for 10 years. In fact, this Iron Man 106 was the last Tuska issue of Iron Man. So he went all the way from issue 5 to issue 106. And
he did all of them?
Not all of them. No, there was a lot of breaks in there, but he did the bulk of them. But he went about 10 years on the title.
Nice. Great stuff.
And you even got the same. There's Madame Mask and Jasper Sitwell even.
Hey, Fiona, I did think it was funny. Come on now. We love it.
There's a
nice. Look,
big
nice.
splash page. That
big Kirby-esque splash page there. Jack of Hearts.
Yeah. The second guardsman.
You like that costume, Jack of Hearts? That's a crazy one, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good. They had him as a little apprentice to Iron Man around this time, so that was interesting. I did fish this out. This was the first Crusher story from Tales of Suspense 91.
Wow.
I'll shoot you. This is the Crusher getting zapped with the centrifugal force ray. And he gets so big, he just plunges through the floor. And a little while later, Happy Hogan and Pepper Potts show up and say, "Oh, hey, we eloped." So you no longer have a supporting cast. And since we're here, thought I'd pop in some Gil Kane.
Oh man, nice. Oh man, Gil Kane was the greatest. Good dude, God. Eli Katz was the man. I loved, and he did. He should have done more. I mean, there's never enough Kirby Cap, but Kane should have done more Cap.
And then I thought they've got a couple other ones here of
That's
Tuska.
from
This
George?
is
He did the interior of this one, right?
yeah, he did the interior. This was a Romita cover.
Yeah.
But then it was Tuska interior, and Billy Graham doing the inking.
Oh, Billy Graham. Billy Graham wasn't. Just did not do enough.
Yeah, he did. They felt he needed a bit more polish, so they had Tuska doing the pencils, right, and they had him do the inks. But he did a lot of the covers. A lot of his covers were really.
He was brilliant.
Stuff. Yeah,
he's brilliant on Black Panther.
But this is all with
good
the Graham's
by George
on it, and I thought, yeah, and with Graham's ink, this is really good.
Yeah. It seems to me like Graham actually did some work on the faces.
Yeah, oh, definitely in that. And the last one I wanted to show here is Luke Cage Power Man. This is the first issue where he becomes Power Man instead of Hero for Hire, and it's drawn by, of course, Tuska. But the guest star in this story is Iron Man.
Nice. You'd like to put Iron Man in there. Cool. Yep. I was a little bit unfair to George.
Yeah.
So
you got to.
Here we go. Now, I need to get this
go.
book. I just need to get it. It's going down in price, too. You have yours signed by George or no?
Oh, no.
What
I never met George. I wasn't. Usually at conventions, I was usually picking up the stuff we didn't sell at conventions, so everybody was gone by the time I go there. The only time I think I ever met an artist at a convention was the year after I left the stores, and I was able to just go to one as a comic book fan. But there's this is the work he did at Will Eisner's studio doing Shark Brody.
Nice. Wow.
And I have a little Nick Cardy interview on this, but there's some more Shark Brody up at the top here, and then he did a recreation of one of the Phantom Girl. Yeah, that's him. That's him ghosting that cover. That's not the actual cover. That he was just ghosting that one.
Wow.
And Captain Marvel, the Fiction House. Let's see, focus in there. But that's him. He had to do their house style on Captain Marvel, so he was doing that. They didn't have any of the. Wish they had some of the other things in here. So, like a painting he did from the military thing, and some artillery he drew. He actually drew artillery in when he was in the service during the war. There's another Hooks Devlin.
Cool.
There he is with. We just lost Joe Giella. There he is.
We did.
In this picture here.
Just recently, Joe Giella.
Murphy. There he is with Murphy Anderson, Jimmy Schwartz.
Wow.
Joe Giella.
Well, I got to meet two of them, Julie and Murphy. Wow.
And the other here's the Crime Does Not Pay. And this was it was a huge selling book. It was outselling Superman at the time.
Wow. The weight of crime bears beat the fruit.
Shut down by you know who.
Yep. The Doctor.
Then he worked for of course he worked for Marvel. He was doing some of their Western comics and science fiction stuff in the Atlas years. But then he did most of his stuff was at the time was doing the newspaper strips like Buck Rogers.
Yes, Princess, I certainly will.
Oh, and he did this. I don't have this one anymore. Avengers. He did this Avengers cover of the Black Knight.
Nice. That's a great cover.
Yeah,
I love the Black Knight.
and he didn't do a lot of covers. Most of his work was interior. He didn't do. I mean, outside of Iron Man, he hardly did any.
Yeah, he wasn't a cover guy. I mean, he didn't want to put him on the covers that much. I'm sure they talk about it in there. I don't know if it was definitely toward the end of his career. They talking about his world's greatest superheroes comic strip. I mean, how long that went and everything. It went on for a good while, I think.
He was on it for 4 years, far as him being on it. Yeah, it does have it in here. I'm looking for it. The other thing it has in here, if Mexican Iron Man's still here, or if Tom Connors was here, is he did the Masters of the Universe.
I remember that
comic.
I remember him
all
doing
3
that.
issues and the covers
for DC.
One. Yep.
He did it for DC, not for Marvel, by the way.
Yes, this is DC.
I was
yes.
wondering.
Yeah.
DC had it before Marvel did.
Yeah, it was just a 3-issue miniseries that he did on there.
Before
but
that,
it does have
nice.
Where is that? But he did like a few issues here and there of Thunder Agents, and he did a short run on, like I said, Teen Titans, Legion of Heroes, superheroes. He did some.
Yeah.
Here's the.
Yep.
There's the world greatest superhero. Then you can see it's Levitz, Tuska, and Coletta.
Oh boy, Coletta. But if they've done it, if a compilation of those strips, I get it. I want it anyway. I don't know.
That's a really nice Superman picture there. Yeah, below.
Yeah,
this one here.
So Coletta inked it. No, so cool. I get that though.
But he was in there for a long time. He worked until the into the 80s. So he was into his late 70s. He was still working on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And by that time he had I think he had scarlet fever when he was young. So he he had bad hearing in one of his ears, and so he got to be pretty deaf.
Oh man!
In his later years, yeah. But one thing he did, he loved to golf. He golfed any chance he could get. And they got a picture of him, nice picture of him when he was golfing. And apparently he was in a celebrity. He managed to get into a celebrity tournament with Jackie Gleason was in it.
Oh, wow.
And he won something. He won like a second place trophy or something that he got from Jackie Gleason.
Oh, good. Wow.
And yeah, here's a nice picture of him when he was a young.
Wow, George.
That's a young, handsome man.
Young George.
Big, tall, blonde, muscular.
Yeah.
Ladies loved him. I mean, he was a really quiet guy. I mean, everybody that they interview in this book about him just said, yeah, he was really nice, quiet. Everybody just loved him. He was great at, he got his work done on time. He was very reliable.
He was likable. Unlike Vinny, he was well liked.
He was, yes. But he could fill in, like I said, he had to ghost on
Mega Chris. Hey, Mega Chris, good to see you.
He had a sample in here of when he ghosted I think a Ramita Spider-Man newspaper strip when they were doing the earlier ones. Yeah, here it is there. So he could kind of, if he needed to, they could have him come in and ghost. But he could do corrections for them on some artwork when they'd come in. Ramita did a lot of that too. But he was someone that they knew they could rely on. And they say in here, his books, when he would fill in on books, that they tended to sell better than the surrounding issues. So he was a guy that they could count on for sales, which is also very important. But he was someone who could, he with his experience, he was like, and he went to the same art school as Jack Kirby. They were in the same place together, and they were both guys that could crank out a lot of artwork in a short amount of time. And so they were sought after for that because they could draw anything and they could get it done in a timely fashion, and get what they needed. So the editors loved him. They loved him.
Cinema Gulp, hey there, good to see you. Thank you for that. Some of our friends in the chat, because this is the first time you've actually been here. I know you've been on Nick's before, but they would like to know the story about your amazing aircraft that you have up on the wall behind you.
Oh, my Hindenburg?
Yeah.
That's one of my. Funny thing is, I was talking about the convention. The convention I went to after I left my comic stores. The big thing that I picked up there was a old book on Zeppelins, and it had some nice diagrams of them, and it encouraged me to want to build models of them. These are all, I have several. This up here, because I've got that Hindenburg, and that I scratch built that. Because I have several, I have a ton of books on Zeppelins, but I was able to kind of put together plans for it, and that's completely scratch built, and it's got like a silk span covering on it. It's about that's about 4.5 feet long. But I also got, that's a World War I Zeppelin. That's the Los Angeles, which was actually was a German-built Zeppelin that was given to the United States as reparations for World War I. That's a pre-World War I passenger Zeppelin, a small one. This one's right above my computer monitor here. This is the R100, which is a British airship. And that's a little over 4 feet long. And that's the first Zeppelin, the LZ-1. That's a post-World War I passenger Zeppelin, the Bodensee. And then that one in the corner there is another World War I Zeppelin. And those are all to the same scale.
Of course.
So they're all, and they have, actually, if you know anything about model railroading, they're all built to N scale. So they're 1/160th. So there's little people inside all of those for scale.
Well, there is a Marvel Comics tie-in to the Hindenburg that you got back there story. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not.
A Marvel Comics one.
A tie-in to it. The night that the Hindenburg, blew up, or the week, when it right before it left to come over from where was it, Germany?
Yeah.
Where about that? A gentleman by the name of Martin Goodman was having a honeymoon over there, and he and his wife had booked 2 tickets on the Hindenburg, but weren't able to make it, and decided to travel by boat.
Oh.
Crazy, huh? Weird.
Interesting.
Weird stuff. Who knows what would have happened?
Well, it was very, very expensive to ride it. Yeah, it was expensive to fly in those. It was very expensive. It was be several $1,000s to go, but it was the fastest way to travel across the Atlantic at the time.
Would there have been a Marvel Comics?
Would there have been a Marvel Comics? Yeah.
Weird,
exactly.
Wild stuff, huh? Yeah.
He wouldn't have a like a nephew-in-law to put to work.
Yeah, no, he wouldn't. A fake nephew, like a cousin, not even like a cousin, a weird. His cousin's nephew is what it basically Stan was. Yeah. So.
Oh, and Princess Fiona, the Los Angeles and the Graf Zeppelin were very similar in shape. Graf was a bit longer, but they were very, very similar in shape.
Yep. We all know what the Rocketeer did with the Zeppelin.
Yes. Well, that's that. I've got that. Showed this on Nick's when we were talking about the Rocketeer comic.
Yes, greatness.
And they had the Zeppelin they had in that, I think, was the LZ-130, but there really was an LZ-130, which was the Graf Zeppelin 2. But anyway.
Nice stuff.
It's a little too wild for Wild Card Wednesday.
Hey, it's Wild Card Wednesday night, man. It's pretty wild. I wonder if they wrote any Marvel comics that involved the Hindenburg, says Mega Chris. I don't know. Not
I
so
know
sure.
they did a there's a Doctor Who um, audio story about him
Yeah.
being on the R101, which was the sort of sister ship of the R100 that's above me.
Right.
They weren't really sister ships technically, but
I remember.
it was at the same time, but that was the one that crashed, and I think they only had like 6 survivors on it. But there's a Doctor Who audio special on it, which I have not heard, but I'd love to hear it.
I remember going to see the movie The Hindenburg with George C. Scott.
Yes, yeah,
in the 70s when that came out. Did you see that?
yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I got they were selling a little newspaper thing that had at the theater where they were showing it here, and it had some stuff on the Hindenburg, but it also had the other pages of the newspaper were all these other disasters. So it was a whole big disaster thing.
Yeah,
I still have it.
Of course, knowing what a huge Iron Man fan you are, of course, and we must review there because there are a couple of issues of Iron Man that I do want to review with you. Also, there's some other issues I'd like to review, but just he is, since he's, I guess, is it safe to say maybe your favorite character, or certainly one of them. And is he numero uno for you, or?
Well, when I sold my collection, he's the one I kept.
There you
but
go.
At the time, Leighton and Michelini had finished their second run.
Right.
I sold my main collection. I sold after their first run, and then I got rid of most of the rest of my books after their second one.
Well, the reason I ask is because I have to wonder. Then someone who loves because of course I love the character as well. But as you know, I have other characters I love more, but I've always liked them a lot. But in 2008, when the character was put on the map as a household name, or when it started anyway, I'm sure you went to the movie like all of us did.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But what was your initial reaction to it as a fan of the character? To the first movie?
Oh, I thought it was great. Yeah, I mean, I knew they couldn't do him exactly as he was in the original comic. I mean, they had to update the time. But I think they did sort of get the essence of the character, so that I wasn't as put off by the fact that it isn't following exactly the comics, and I didn't know what they were doing in the comics at the time, so I didn't know he was known as publicly as Iron Man at the time. But it didn't bother me. I mean, I know they're not going to do it exactly like in the comics, in the movies, but I loved it. I thought it was great. It kind of went through his different armors as he progressed to the red and gold one. They kind of get through that fairly quickly, and Robert Downey Jr. just did a great job of the character. I mean, he wasn't the Tony Stark from the comics that I knew.
No,
but he was very entertaining. He did just a great job on it, so I didn't mind. And I took my mother to go see it, and she loved Iron Man from seeing that. And I go, well, I got all those comics.
Man, I tell you what, it didn't take long for it to win me over because look, there were some scary rumors for a while there that it was going to be Tom Cruise, and I'm one of those who can't stand Tom Cruise. So if it had been him, I probably wouldn't have gone to see it. But or it would have been rough to force myself to go, maybe. But anyway, so I never had any problem with RDJ one way or the other. I mean, he was fine. It was no big deal. He was, we knew who he was, but he wasn't like a superstar at that point. And so I was like, okay, he might be good. He looks okay. I'll see some pictures from it. And it took about less than a couple of minutes. As soon as they open up and they're having this flashback where he's in the casino, right? And they're playing in the background, which of course was derivative of the Tony Stark, the Iron Man theme music from the old 60s cartoon.
Yeah.
Tony Stark makes you feel he's a cool exec with a heart of steel.
I would love to get those.
Oh, I love
They don't
yeah,
have those. They've
I
got
love
them
them.
out in
And
a different, like a region 2 or something
I would love to get
videos,
them there.
but
I
yeah,
don't
they don't.
understand.
I wish they'd get those out because
Uh,
they shouldn't have a problem with those. Like the Fantastic Four, the 67 Fantastic Four cartoon. That's one I'd really love to get. I've
I've
got
got
some copies that
I've got bootlegs. Yeah,
yeah, I've got some really low quality
from
ones,
Boomerang.
but I've got them. Yeah, they were sort of taped off of that. Um,
But
but they problem with those is DC owns them because they were Warner Hanna-Barbera, and Warner owns that. So it's like DC's owns Marvel's material, and that's why those aren't out, I believe.
you know what? When they start with that music, though, I was like, oh man, they knew this. I'm laughing my ass off. Nobody else in the theater's laughing. They don't
Yeah,
know what this is.
yeah.
I'm
I
like,
know that song.
if they've got that in there, these people must give a crap about Iron Man. It just maybe somehow it set me at ease that that they would have something like that. It's tiny, but I'm like, wow, I'm laughing. This is hilarious that they have that. So, and of course, yeah, I love the movie. And from there, who'd have ever thought? I mean, because again, comic geeks knew Iron Man was, and yes, he'd been in a cartoon in the '90s, but for the most part, let's just be honest. Most people, most people don't really wouldn't have known him that. He's not
Yeah,
Superman.
the
or
average person
Batman.
wouldn't know him. Yeah, the
No,
average
and
person, the only Marvel characters they knew were Spider-Man and the
Spider-Man,
Hulk. That,
and that's
that was
about the
it.
biggest.
Yeah,
If you told me before that there would be a time when Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America would be as big a household names as Superman and Batman, or close to it, or even Spider-Man, I said nah. And Princess Fiona says Ed Quinn from Eureka, great show by the way, would have been a great comics Tony Stark. Yeah, his name even on Eureka, his name was Anthony Stark. It was Stark, not Anthony Stark. It was something Stark. It was what was his name? His last name was Stark, spelled differently. There was an actor named Anthony Stark somewhere, but no. Ed Quinn played Stark. What was his first name on that show? Now I'm forgetting. I just binge watched the show 5 months ago. Damn. Yeah, but it was spelled differently, which was not a coincidence. But that Ed Quinn was great. You look at that guy and you go, he's Iron Man. Jesus, he is Tony Stark. I forget what his name was. Something Stark.
no, I didn't see
But he
the
was
show,
good.
so I couldn't help you there.
But the guy, you look at he was a genius scientist. Eureka, it was his town of scientists, and it was basically it was similar to like Stark Industries in a sense. The guy looks exactly like a Tony Stark right out of the comic book. They named the character. They named the character Stark. They spelled the name a little bit different. And I always thought, of course, this was before. I believe it was a couple years before. The movie, the Iron Man movie came out. So I was like, man, that guy's Tony Stark. Jesus Christ. Nathan, that's right. Thank you, Mr. Fiona. Nathan Stark. And I'm like, yeah, that guy would have been good. But of course, RDJ, he didn't talk exactly like the Tony Stark we knew from the comic books. He talked a little bit more like Peter Parker. Yeah, thank you, Princess.
Yeah, the jokey Spider-Man type. Yeah,
right. He did a little bit of that. He did a little bit of that, and a lot of that later when other writers like Whedon came in. But it's okay. I mean,
it worked, and he's still his origin as far as him, having to build the armor with Professor Yinsen. That, although they had to be put in a
Global
different
dynamics.
time and place, it still had the essence of his origin in it. So I appreciated that.
It captured audiences. He just clicked with audiences, and he made that character his own, in a sense. And in the movie Iron Man is quite different from the comic book Iron Man, but still, we have an Iron Man that the whole world knows this character now. It's just extraordinary. Again, like I said, at that time, before that, I always thought that he would just be somebody that only comic book geeks would give a crap about. So that's pretty amazing. He's now become a movie character.
Yeah.
Not to you and me, but, to the world.
And then DC figured that they would use their analog character to Iron Man to do the same thing with their universe. And, there's always seems to be, anytime they do something in Iron Man, Or in Green Lantern, the other one would kind of copy the same thing. And so DC decided to do that with the movie. So they put out a Green Lantern movie.
Yep. But whew, was it bad though?
You know, I tried to watch that a second time and I could
Oh.
not stomach it.
I watched it a second time like 10 years later. Remember a couple of years back on the Global Geek Gang, we did a couple Green Lantern roundtables, and our buddy Ash, you know, God bless Ash. The young man loves that dumb movie. So in his honor,
I didn't remember that. I didn't remember he loved that movie.
Ash loves that movie. And so for Ash, I said, all right,
poor
buddy,
guy.
I'm going to go back and watch Green Lantern. At this point, and this was around 2020, it had been 10 solid years since the movie came to the theater. I saw it the one time in the theaters. And I went to see it. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on cable.
Lucky you.
And then it was several years later. I saw it was on, and I'm like, was it really that bad? And I started watching, and I'm like, oh yeah, it was really that bad. And I only went maybe 20 minutes into it. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to waste my time anymore.
That's right, Mark D. Mark D, if you feel like popping in, please feel free, buddy. But no,
yeah, Ash was one of the
first
people I streamed with, because it was over on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was on Jed's channel when he was doing his Sunday shows on the Pop Culture Archivist. Jed's the first one ever had me on his streams, and I think Mark was on one of them, and Brian.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, that 70s. Yeah.
It's been a while.
And Pablo. That was the first time I streamed with Pablo.
Oh yeah, it's been a while now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw the extended version or not, Princess Fiona. I guess maybe I didn't. I don't know. Maybe I did. I can't remember. I think it was. I think it might have been though.
That sounds more like extended torture.
Yeah. I like how she says, Fiona cracks me up. She says, Neil Adams was a saint at our house, so I had to see it. Neil Adams, a saint? Oh, yeah, man, that's something. He was a lot of things, Neil Adams. I love his art, though. We revere the art of Neil Adams here, Princess Fiona. Good to hear that.
I think of Gil Kane as... Gil Kane's the Green Lantern artist that I associate.
Oh, yeah, Gil Kane. When I think Green Lantern, I think Gil Kane. But I love Adams' run on it. I mean, you know. But the Hard Traveling Heroes, there just wasn't enough of it for me. You know. And
I tried to read those recently, and I'm like,
oh no, they're tough. The art's great.
Oh, art's nice to look at, but
the story.
Oh yeah,
the writing,
time stomaching.
And I like Denny O'Neil a lot, but the writing on that thing was, well, it's just you know what I'm saying.
Over the top.
Yes.
Hey,
surrounded by things.
Mark B with the C.
Hey, everyone. Hey, to everyone in the chat. Yep, that was probably like 2 years ago, I guess, or time flies. But
yeah,
I'm trying to remember.
So. Been a while.
I was so impressed by those Zeppelins. Yeah, and especially building something scratch built like that from the. I guess you said you got the plans and scaled it down, and that can't be easy to do. And that's material covering that Zeppelin. You have like a
it's
fabric,
silk span. Yeah, it's like a styrene. the rings in it, but there are that Hindenburg. I pretty much copied the actual structure of it, so it's got like 52 rings inside of that.
Wow, that's amazing.
So which is why like the R100 above me is that one. I decided if I want to do another big one, I should do the R100 because that only had, and that's sort of accurate to its ring structure, it only had 16 main rings in it.
Wow.
So it took a lot less time to build.
Yeah.
Because that Hindenburg, it took a long time to build that.
And that's your first one too, right?
That was actually the one in the back corner there. That was the first one, but I kind of experimented with that. That actually has a different fabric cover on it, which I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really work so well. And my uncle said, oh, hey, you should use silk span. I'm like, okay, I'll try. And that was perfect for it.
Did you do any? Did you know how to? You're a woodworker at all, or as a hobby too? I imagine doing all those spars and no, just
No,
figuring
no.
it out.
I did it all in plastic instead.
Oh, it's all in plastic. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Because I just cut all the rings out on a jigsaw.
Well,
It was
still takes skill though. Yeah.
I had to use I used like a CAD program because it's like a 36 polygon, 36 sided polygon on the rings for that. So I had to do it on a CAD program and print that out. And even that was only half. I had to do a half ring template because each of the rings I had to do because they're so big, the styrene I could get would only cover half the ring.
Okay.
And to make it strong enough, I had to build like 4 halves. So I had 2 this way and 2 that way for one ring. So it was like nice. That and then that glued together so that it wouldn't have a weak connection. So I had to do 4 half rings for all the rings in that pretty much. Some of the smaller ones I could just do in one, but
Princess
how
Fiona,
much time did that go?
Thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you. You're too kind. Says must acknowledge the skill and craftsmanship. Thanks. It is great stuff. And that he is an extraordinary craftsman, Mr. Dbud Martin.
Zeppelin craftsman.
Thank you so much, Princess. It's very kind of you.
Yeah, it took me several years to build it just because of getting the plastic for it. Because I had to just getting the sheets. Because like a package of sheets is 4, so one package would just get me one ring for that thing.
Wow.
Amazing. And then I had to do all the longitudinal girders, which are like the nose to tail
long ones. Yep.
I had those. I mean, several packages to get those done.
Expensive too, I guess, right? Yeah, because there's a lot of waste in that too as you're cutting. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably say maybe $250 to $300 worth of materials in that thing.
Yep.
Just for that one.
Just for that one, yeah. Yep.
Now the other ones actually were less because there weren't as many rings. It was just the number of rings that were in that. Huge.
We have tons of Zeppelin in our home, but of the lead variety. Yeah, love them. A good one
for sure. Well, today, I guess you could cut those spars on
you'd just
CNC
do everything
router.
on a 3D printer. That's what you'd do.
Yeah. I would do it. Yeah.
You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
No. Or you're doing on the CNC machine, cut all the spars. Yeah. Once you had the templates on the CNC machine, but you still have to.
No, I had just a little hobby jigsaw, and I'd
go
have
to town.
Transfer the pattern from the CAD program onto the plastic.
Yep.
And then I'd have to cut that, and then I'd glue them together. And then I had to cut a notch out of the corner of each vertex of the polygon for the longitudinal girder to pass through.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
So,
do you have an Indiana
Jones? That's a lot of time just to do just one ring would take quite a bit of time. It could take like a whole weekend for me to just do one ring.
Do you have Indiana Jones figure snuck in there, throwing someone off for not paying no ticket?
No ticket. Yeah. No, but they're, like I said, they're N scale, so I could get the model railroad figures for it. So there are little people in all of these, so you can get the scale of how big they are. Yeah, because it's hard to understand the scale of these Zeppelins. They were just massive. Right? If you've been to Lakehurst, New Jersey, where they had the hangar there where the Hindenburg exploded. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we have Hangar 1 down at Sunnyvale, where the USS Macon was stationed. And that thing is just gargantuan. And I've never been close to it. That's just passing by it on the highway there. And you're not that close to it. And it's just massive. Yeah. The size, it's like that Hindenburg was like 3 football fields long.
It's huge. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if you've been in a football stadium, imagine tacking 2 more onto it, and that's the size you're looking at. Yeah.
Wow.
I heard they were trying to bring them, or maybe someone was thinking about doing a Zeppelin or the type of, lighter than air, as a crossing the Atlantic again, or make like a luxury service. But I don't think anything happened.
Oh, that
with
was
it.
me.
That was you? Yeah.
That's what I'd love to do. Yeah.
God,
I wish I could.
That'd be cool, right?
JT Kirk is asking if I've never been to that museum. I would love to. I've seen a lot of videos of people going to it, but that's one place I'd love to go to. It's on my bucket list.
Lake Constance.
Yeah, because you want to get seasick on the Zeppelin, right? Not like on a boat.
Right. You wouldn't get seasick on it, and it was faster. You could get to. It was like a 2.5 day trip where, by the ocean liners, it was at least 5 days, I think. So it was a much faster. And like when the Hindenburg crashed, the passengers that were going to, because they were going to turn around and go right back to Europe. They were just going to try to, unload all the passengers and freight and load everybody else on and take off as soon as they could, because the coronation for the king was going to be that month. And so people were trying to get back to Europe for that coronation. And we're about to have another coronation in another week. Yeah.
Wow.
Take the Zeppelin over. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the way to travel, because you could.
How many people could they carry on this?
They had enough room on the Hindenburg they actually had enough for 100 passengers, but they never had that many. They had, I think it was 70, something like 70, and they expanded it for the year where it blew up, because it was in service for only a little more than a year, and it was the second crossing. It was they'd done a trip down to. They used to fly down to Rio, because they had a lot of trips where they had the Graf Zeppelin was doing the Rio route from Germany down to Rio de Janeiro, and the Hindenburg was doing the North Atlantic, so it was going to go to New York, but it also did occasional trips to Rio, and they'd done one trip to Rio that year, and when it blew up, it was the second Atlantic crossing, but it was the first one to New York. But they'd added these extra rooms. They kind of squeezed some more in at the bottom of the ship, but they didn't have a full passenger list on that flight. They were a little light on it. That they're probably going to be full going back, because they had a lot of people wanting to go to Europe for the coronation.
Right.
Now, everything was underneath the Zeppelin, right? It was the canopy. It was stuff inside. Anything inside? Were there people going inside?
Yeah, they were inside. Yeah, they were inside of it, because that little the little gondola at the bottom there.
Yeah,
that was just where the captain and the navigators, the helmsmen were. The passengers were in the. I don't know if you can see that very well. Can't zoom it in more.
Yeah.
But there's some windows along the bottom. The passenger decks were actually inside the ship,
inside
the bottom of the ship. Yeah. And same with the British ships were like that as well. Like this R101 here, same thing here. You got the gondola at the bottom was just for the navigators and the helmsmen, but the windows above, that's where the passenger decks were.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That one actually was better.
It must have been expensive. It must have been expensive too to be on something like that, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Fiona. I agree with that. They are some interesting fellers. They know their stuff. Our geek groups around here, we got somebody who knows a little bit about everything, except for me. I don't know anything, but they make up for it by doing all kind of stuff. She should have gone when we were interlocking. How do you say that? Interlocking.
Yep.
Interlocking. Yeah. Wow. By the way, I spy with my little eye the Diana Rigg Emma Peel mega set.
Emma Peel mega set. Yep. Oh,
I have that. I got that. Look at that.
Got that. I have a bunch of. There's a whole bunch of box sets right behind it, and they're all the A&E ones. So it has the Emma Peel mega set.
Nice.
Thunderbirds,
Nice.
The Prisoner,
Or go.
Greatness. Got
and
that.
then all the color episodes of The Saint.
Nice. Oh, cool. I
And
love
then
the same.
above that is Monty Python.
Well, where's the
that as
American
well.
stuff?
The first couple of
That-
seasons of the black and white episodes of The Saint.
Cool.
All the Bond movies up till Die Another Day.
Perfect.
Bunch of Hammer movies. And above that, I've got the Persuaders. You remember that show?
Tony Curtis
Tony Curtis and Roger Moore.
and
Yeah.
Roger Moore.
Yep. Danger Man.
Nice. And later, Secret Agent.
Yeah, I know. And it's the
Danger Man.
all of Danger Man. It's the
All-
1961 is one little set, and then the rest is the later Danger Man,
Nice.
including the fine like the color ones that
The color
couple of ones
two-parter.
that were
Yeah.
themed into Kuroshi. But
Yes.
those are all the DVD sets, so they're huge. Of course, I'm
Fantastic.
Blu-ray now, and they're much smaller. I'm like, darn.
Yeah, they're way smaller now.
ones.
They make
Yeah.
those sets were way bigger back then.
Yeah, each set had one jacket basically for each disc. Some of them, yeah.
And I wish I could get. They had them. I saw them before, but they don't seem available now. Is
What's that?
UFO?
Oh, UFO's expensive now.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Because I've
It's
got.
stupid money right now.
I mean, I got like the Thunderbirds, and I have. I'd gotten Captain Scarlet, and I'm like, I hadn't seen Stingray since I was probably like 8 years old. So I picked that DVD up. I thought, well, I should get Fireball XL5 while I'm at it.
Yeah.
So I got a whole bunch of those Jerry Anderson ones, but I
Nice.
thought about getting UFO, and I didn't get it at the time. I'm like, they're humans. They're not marionettes. Who cares about that?
Yeah. And now
But,
it's ridiculous for the Blu-rays and the DVDs.
Because that did come out on Blu-ray, I think. UFO.
On
Yep.
Blu-ray, really? Ooh.
Yeah, it did come
No,
out
I
on
saw
Blu-ray.
I saw
but I think it was
DVDs, but I
just in
didn't see
England.
there were Blu-rays.
I think it was just in England though. Captain Finity's not here,
Yeah.
but he was. I think
was
it,
earlier.
it's
Sort of
really
like
expensive here now.
Blake 7, which I'd love to get.
Yeah, that's never going to be on Blu-ray here anyway. I mean, it's never
No.
going to be on DVD here. Blake 7 is not even on DVD here. You have to get rips.
Yeah.
I have rips of it,
Mhm.
but and bootleg rips and stuff. But Blake 7, they did. I have all the VHSs. They did every episode of VHS, all 52 of them, back in the 90s. But of course, no DVDs.
I had VHS of all the Red Dwarfs, but
Me
now I
too.
have the DVDs
too.
instead.
At least they did DVDs of that.
Yeah,
You know,
and I love they've got like the music cues on those Red Dwarf DVDs.
yes. Oh God, those are good DVDs.
Oh, the second season one, I could just listen to that on a practically endless loop. All the variations of Tongue Tied.
Oh, Tongue Tied. Yeah, Tongue Tied was great.
Well, not just, but the one they used is when they were in the restaurant in Better Than Life. That's playing it's that kind of Muzak sort of version of the song. I love that. It sounds great.
Better Than Life's a great episode. Now, again, what JT Kirk said. Hang on. They have the complete series on Blu-ray. Yeah, they are on Blu-ray and Meg Chris, but I think they're really expensive thing. And JT says, "You think Blake 7 is hard to find? Try and find copies of Earth 2. Not even that on that one on eBay in Sweden has some. Yeah, but I'm just saying, no, it's not. Blake 7's not hard to find. They just didn't make it for the region in our country. They only make you can find it easily enough, I think, over there for region two, right?
No, I don't have Sapphire.
Do you have
and
Sapphire and Steel? Oh man.
No.
Oh, I've always meant to go back and watch more of that. What I've watched, I've loved, but
Well, I do have. I've got like the Man from U.N.C.L.E. That's the set that's in the suitcase set, and I still haven't watched all of it.
70s. What's up, buddy?
Brian,
you got the suitcase? You got the briefcase thing?
I got the briefcase one, yeah, but I haven't been able. I've only watched like the first season and into the second because there's so many other things. Thanks to Mexican Iron Man, if he's still out there.
What do you do now?
He's got me on this Ultraman kick.
Oh
Because
God,
he
yeah.
just loved
Ultraman's
Ultraman. He's
cool.
like, oh, yeah. And so I got all of the Ultraman, the first 7 Ultraman series from Ultra Q through Ultraman Leo on Blu-ray, and then I got there's an anime one that's the Ultraman from '79, and then they did live action again with Ultraman 80. So I got all of those, and then I picked up a few other ones of the more recent ones, and because I'm learning Japanese as well, so I've been kind of watching them also to see how much I could pick out of what they're saying, and
Sean Mint by the MT. Sean MNT. Hello, good to see you. By the way.
oh
Sorry.
my God, Brian
Continue.
Hepburn has the Dark Shadows set. Oh jeez.
Oh
What
wow.
a big coffin. That must be an awfully big coffin.
Oh
that runs
yeah,
for,
that's a
20
ton
years.
of discs.
Hey Fiona, by the way, is that Baba Black Sheep said? Is it only? I mean, is it only region 2? It's a friend. You know, remember Baba Black Sheep? Later became Black
Yep.
Sheep Squadron.
Yeah.
I thought those were on I thought those were on Warner Archive now. Maybe not. But she says they had to buy the French Baba Black Sheep DVDs. Yeah, sometimes you can't get them here.
Well, for Robert Conrad, I got all the old Wild Wild West ones.
I have the complete series of that, except I don't have the TV movies that they did later, which are out on DVD though. They put it out. It's not with the set that I got.
It's not the TV series.
Oh, it's way better, but
Yeah.
but still, I wanted to get those movies, but it's they released them individually. But the TV show's way better.
Actually, you got a member chat from Andrew 46 and 2.
Oh,
It's just a
Sign of the horn.
that little emoji.
thank you, Andrew.
Clobberin level for 4 months.
Let's take a look at our poll here. Okay, poll question. We have 33 votes. All right. Appreciate everyone. Now I don't get a vote, everybody. Damn it. So the question was, who is your favorite Iron Man artist? And in first place is the way I would have voted, I got to admit, is, of course, Bob Layton at 55. In second place, though, is our tonight's subject, and happy birthday for his 160th, the great George Tuska with 21%. And Gene Colan at least getting some love. That's nice to know. 15% for Gene, great artist. And old Don Heck gets 9% at least in last place. But at least he got a vote. That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Heck did some good work on the early Tales of Suspense issues.
And he's a co-creator.
Yeah, his later stuff was
No, his old Avengers
not
stuff.
great,
Avengers though was great, but he was pretty good on Avengers. But yeah, Don Heck was never my favorite. But
and this is good Heck stuff. I like this.
Oh yeah, look, I like Don Heck. Fine, his older stuff.
Yeah, that's him doing Cappy. Did Avengers, of course. He did a lot of early Avengers issues. But
wow.
You know what? I noticed there's
when we bought them that you could only get the French ones. We have a region-free player. Yes, good to have a region-free player. Absolutely.
You want any of these comics?
Oh
yeah.
Wow! I think when those come out next week, I'm gonna go buy them.
No, they're now on sale.
Now on sale.
On
now
sale.
I can get them now.
Yeah.
Maybe I buy 2 of each. Maybe 2 of each.
Oh, house ads.
To be frank, that was a very tough choice to make on that poll. Well, it is a tough choice. I understand absolutely, but I mean, I don't know. Bob Layton was just so extraordinary. I love
the metallic. The way he made it look like metal was just fantastic. There's some
what a long run too. I mean,
fantastic stuff.
He made John Romita Jr. look great.
And you know how he got he got his start on Iron Man.
Yeah.
He inked
George
Tuska on Iron Man issue number 91.
And Carmen Infantino on another one. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He inked Byrne on a Hulk annual. Which I don't know if it was before that, though. Wasn't before that, right? But he did.
Well, I'm just talking about a start in Iron Man. His first Iron Man was inking that Tuska art on issue 91. So
Fiona says, after this, I'm willing to change my vote. Which one? I mean, I don't know how to change it, but which one would you change it to? Now, I don't know. You don't have to tell me who you voted for, but you can if you want to. We know who Dbud voted for. I'm sure you voted for George.
George.
Okay.
I mean, I love Leighton stuff, but
I don't blame you.
George was the guy I had drawn my Iron Man for almost 10 years. That's
don't blame you one bit. Mark, did you vote at all?
Oh, I did vote. I voted for Leighton. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Dom Leighton was just incredible. But I mean,
they're all great artists, but yeah.
No, yeah.
Leighton,
I love Jeans. I mean, Jeans was incredible. And yeah, Don Heck was the co-creator. I mean, it's tough not, so to give him some love there, but they are definitely the most important artists on the character.
Yeah, Gene Colan's Iron Man was he did a lot of dynamic poses with that. It was, you could really see the flexibility of the armor with his artwork. Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah. One day, Dbud, I'd like to review Iron Man 150.
Just that cover, I mean.
It's beautiful.
Is that the Dr. Doom one?
Yeah, so 150, yeah.
Classic, yep.
Oh, look at that. Oh, Lord.
I like this one. This said that Frank Giacoya did the inking on this one, but I love this. He's showing how the Crusher's his footsteps are causing him to vibrate. He's got the little.
It's amazing. Wasn't that long before that last issue, the issue we reviewed tonight, and yet.
Oh, beautiful.
Princess says it was Leighton, but I'm willing to change it to that artist with the book we saw tonight because that was fabulous. It was fabulous. It's a great comic, but Bob Leighton, man, I don't know, he was pretty amazing. Did it for a long time. Now, the thing is, the difference is though, Leighton was the inker, and still, no matter who he inked, it looked like it was Bob Leighton brilliance. I mean, he even made
John Romita Jr.
Infantino. Well, yeah, but he also did an Infantino issue, dude. And sorry, Carmine wasn't really your Iron Man artist.
Well, he was another one that was
getting old.
His as he got older, his art just wasn't like it was. Of course, it helped that. I mean, a lot of those early stuff he had like Murphy Anderson inking him, so that helped a lot.
Can you name any other series long run of any character where when we talk about the art, we talk about the inker before we talk about the penciler? In the history of comics, I can't think of one except for this one, Bob Leighton. I mean, I love, for example, Sennett's my favorite inker on Kirby FF, but there was him, there was Chick Stone, there was Dick Ayers, there was George Russo's, there were a lot of inkers. I just like Sennett the best, but still, we talk Kirby when we talk that run. When Kirby's Thor, we talk about the good inkers, then we talk about the stinkers like Coletta, or when you talk about whatever, like Burns this or Perez's that or Miller's this, you never ever everyone talk about a certain run of a character that they like with the art and talk about the inker. It's all they might say Terry Awesome was a great inker on Byrne or whatever, but you never hear him talk about the inker first. It's this penciler, the writer and the penciler, that sort of thing. This is the only time I can ever think of where the long ass run is all about the guy who inked the damn comic, not the guy who did the pencils.
Yeah, for as long a run as it, because like Tom Palmer would kind of be equal with Gene Colan on like Tomb of Dracula. I think that was another team but it was both of them. It wasn't just Palmer. Whereas it was definitely Leighton on Iron Man. It didn't matter who the penciler was. It was Leighton.
Leighton. I mean,
whereas like with Dracula,
everything.
it was Colan and Palmer.
If you
together, to me at least.
If you were a penciler and didn't have much pride, you were glad to work with Bob Leighton, probably because your work was going to look fantastic.
Although he felt that he did a horrible job on Tuska's art in that Iron Man issue I'm talking about.
Well, Byrne hated him on Hulk Annual. I can't even repeat what Byrne said about. I mean, on this show tonight, I cannot repeat what Byrne said about Leighton's work on his Hulk. I can tell you behind the scenes. I mean, it's printed in a comics journal in 1980, and I still can't say it here. If that tells you anything. Yeah, that's true.
No,
Now
no burn.
Bissett and Totalman that's close. I think Totalman before Bissett on Swamp Thing. You know what? I got to throw in you, Hunger Boy. I got to say that the closest that's anything to that would be probably John Totalman over Steve Bissett on Alan Moore Swamp Thing run. But still, when you think of that run, you think Alan Moore. For example, when you think of that run on Iron Man, sure, we know Dave Michelini did a good job writing it, but still people think the Bob Layton Iron Man run.
Yep.
What other? Yeah, what inker?
Yeah, I think of
dominated
both
the
of
run?
them, but they were
you
sort of
do, yeah,
that was a
yeah.
writer. Yeah, that was sort of an writer artist team that just always together to me. Same as like, I mean, Wolfman wrote those Doom of Draculas, but I think of Colan and Palmer more than Wolfman being in there, even though he did write them all practically.
He did most of the after like issue 7 or 8 or whatever he did. Yeah, so yeah, that's true. But I think that's the only run where of a great long run of something where I think of the inker first. It's just weird. I never even thought about that till we just started talking about that tonight, I guess. But whereas again on that one you think more. Although Totalman's inks. Now Terry Austin was a great inker, but they still say the Claremont Byrne run when they talk X-Men, you know. So there you go. So Iron Man 150. Do you like that issue at all? Because I haven't read it in a while, but I seem to remember really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's kind of not my favorite of those. I know it was sort of something that people were like all hyped for, and I was expecting. Okay. I was kind of expecting more out of it than was there. But there's sort of other ones that I really like that were.
Well, then I want you to pick.
I love it's oddball ones like the one issue of Iron Man where it was after he battled the Hulk and he was trapped in his armor and Ant-Man has to go through his armor. It was sort of like
a good one. How to fix the armor.
Yeah, it was sort of like the Vision of Ant-Man going into the Vision in the Kree-Skrull War. It was sort of a throwback to that.
That's a good one.
That was a really great issue. And then the other one that I thought was really fantastic was when they started the second Michelini Layton run on Iron Man. And the first 2 covers were the Silver Centurion armor and the red and gold armor with Rhodey in that one. And they were up in space and they wind up having to re-enter. And the Centurion armor could handle it, but Rhodey's armor was damaged, and he actually is getting set. It's burning in the atmosphere somewhat. He's getting, and that was very dramatic looking, and they had a great cover of that on the second one of that. But both the covers on it was a 215 and 216 are just beautiful covers. I like that story a lot.
Who was doing the pencils at that point? Was it Mark Bright or something?
Yeah, Bright was doing those. Actually, I thought the Bright Layton combination was my favorite of those.
Right. Wow.
Like
I don't think I went
Jackson
back to that.
Geis and Layton was okay. And then I think like Ramita Jr., he must have been just doing like
layouts,
light layouts. Yeah. Because that looked so much more like it was Layton than anything Ramita. And of course, it doesn't look anything like what Ramita Jr.'s stuff turned into.
When he left, though, when Layton left, and we had Luke McDonald.
Yeah, that
I didn't like him too much.
That was even in my book. The good thing for me is that book on the armors that I did.
That was amazing.
Because that, do you have that?
You sent it a long time ago. Yep.
Okay.
You sent it on my old computer.
Sent it to Clobby. Sent it. Okay, that's fine.
And then I thought you sent it to me.
I didn't think I sent it to you.
No, he had access to my. I told him about it because he had access to my. He was.
I can't remember now. I just know I know I had it. I was like, wow, it's amazing.
Something about it. Yeah. But it's like because that particular armor was not a specific armor. It was supposedly a cannibalized armor. So I'm like, well, I can't catalog this because I can't tell what any of this is from. Mm-hmm. So I was able to conveniently skip that entire era in my book.
Good.
Like, well, because I can't tell, I'm just going to skip this whole era.
Skip it. Have you ever had that printed or like made a hardcover just for yourself?
Well, I've printed it out on paper. I made a bound book of it. I think Mexican Iron Man did. Right?
Yeah,
He said
because
he
there's
wanted
places.
to-
He was all
He said
excited
he
to
has
get it.
one.
Oh yeah, send it to me. Yeah,
He
think
said he has a copy, so he must have a hard copy.
Oh yeah, he printed it out, and he might have got it bound. I don't know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, well, there's places now with
is
the
Iron
internet
Man.
and technology, and I do a lot of printing. But you could just send, in the old days, you could never do that. Make 2 or 3 copies. But now there's a
Yeah.
bunch of places online. Blurb
That
is
you
one
can
of
make-
them.
Yeah,
You just send them the file, and they'll make a book for
yeah, because
you.
I
a hardcover
did
book.
that in 2010. Was when I did that book.
Yeah, it wasn't that expensive too. It was like $20 or $30. I'm like, wow, get your own custom hardcover book. It's amazing.
I saw somebody who was a big fan of ROM got all the issues of ROM bound up like in a really nice hardcover thing because it's never going to be put in an omnibus ever. He got all like 70
the rights, right?
4
Yeah.
issues and all the annuals, and he made a big old excuse me, he made a big old damn it, I can't get to the button in time. Hey Oliver Bellamonte, good to see you, buddy.
Hey Oliver.
I got to point out Hungry Boy's comment. So John Romita Jr. is like a stale Twinkie versus Leighton, who's like a 7-layer chocolate cake.
Poor old beating up on JR. He's a nice guy. Come on now. His Pappy's the great artist. So
Yeah.
Have to follow in the father's footsteps.
Well,
too,
nothing
right?
against the man, just that his art style just isn't for me.
That's a very nice way of putting it. I like that.
Whereas his father's stuff is actually my favorite run of comics probably ever was the first year of
his Spidey
Romita on Spider-Man. Yeah.
Oh God,
say like 39 to 52 or maybe 56. I mean, that's my favorite run of comic books. Period.
That's great
stuff. Not even Iron Man. No, I mean, if I was stuck on a desert island with only one set of comic books, it would be those books.
Wow,
those were
Fiona,
awesome.
I don't know what the deal is. Fiona says, "Gee, it's all. This was great fun. Thank you. I need to figure out why I can never find Clobby's live streams. I don't know. Maybe that ghosted me. I don't know, Fiona. She says good night. I think she's heading out. Fiona, thank you for being here, though. I'm on. I can just tell you that tomorrow night, same bat time, same Clobby channel. It'll be Raquel and Mark and I for the clubhouse. We hope you'll join us. And then, of course, Saturday night one, as you know, and the Monday night one, same time as Monday nights, same time as always for us. But I just
sorry, I was interrupting. I was going to say UFO watch party will be earlier tomorrow because of playoff hockey, probably with the Rangers playing. So
hockey.
I know Princess Fiona's.
Do people watch hockey?
No, not
people.
70s
is watching it right now.
70s.
So, yeah.
Who's that guy?
Rock fan. Who's that guy?
70s is watching hockey.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he's going to tell me he's drinking while he's watching hockey.
Well, does he have a
goodness gracious?
Is this team in the playoffs?
Yeah, Stars are playing in the playoffs.
Oh, that guy. Well, they'll get bumped out and he'll stop watching.
Yeah,
I hope they make it, buddy.
I'm mod for Brian, and he has his bourbon and boarding, or as I think it should be called, the hookers and haggis on Saturday nights. If you're done watching Clobby on Saturday Night Star Trek, you could probably switch over to Brian's show. Brian and Brahma Bull. If you want to catch up with your hockey stuff, I usually go to bed afterwards, so I'm not there to.
Before all this Saturday Night Star Trek stuff, but when I was on my other venue, and I still cared about the NFL, that's what I was doing every Saturday night during football season. But now we
used to have a football team in my area.
You did down there in Las Vegas.
Used to have a baseball team too. Just ask Mexican Iron Man.
Oh, now don't get him started on those A's.
Oh, he's happy if they move. He'd love for them to move.
He'll be happy. Yeah, go to Vegas. Yeah.
That means if he goes see him without having to come to California.
Wow. Well, dude, Dbud, man, I kept you up late. I know. Well, I mean, it's later for us, but I know it's late for you, man.
Well, I get up early, so yeah. Well, dude, I really knew you wanted me on, and I've
big time, man. You
and I
looked
at. I was looking at my. You were saying disparaging things about George Tuska.
I'm sorry.
I was looking up
Hope you
my
forgive
Art of
me.
George Tuska book, and I'm like, hey, his birthday's April 26th. I
I
wonder what day of the
promise you.
week that is. And it was a
Wow,
Wednesday. And I'm like, Wild Card Wednesday. Gotta
We have
do it.
celebrated George Tuska's birthday. How about that?
So, yeah.
And I promise
the man,
you,
the myth, the legend, the golfer, the
the
ladies' man.
golfer,
The ladies love
promise
this guy.
I'm going to buy that book. Let's see.
Yes.
It's gone down. Look, The Art of Don Heck went down. Do you have that one?
What about the Thin Black Line?
Let me see. It went down too, I think. Let's
That's
see.
cheap enough. I might actually get that.
They have
That
an
might be
alter-
it's an interesting read, probably.
Did you get the alter ego issue about George Tuska? That's like $3 now.
No, I didn't.
And then
get
let's see.
that.
There's let's see here. Thin Black Line. Let me see. Let's see what George Tuska's going for these days. Because I wanted to actually, I think they did reduce it. Hey, it's not on here. They got a clearance sale going on and they don't put it on here. Why would you not put that on there? Man, don't tell me they don't have that book on sale anymore. Go on there. All right.
And
No,
is
they got
that
a-
on the TwoMorrows site? That
Yeah,
you're
I'm on
looking for?
TwoMorrows tonight. Yeah.
because you've got
They-
your.
Wow, they got a John Severin book coming out I would like to get. I got the Dick Giordano book. That's cheap now.
Do they have a Marie Severin book?
Oh, yeah, they do. And I need to get that one. Let's see. Marie Severin book's like $8.99 now on the site. Oh, look, Tuska's $6.99 now, man.
How can you lose?
And they got a digital too. I think I will get that.
There you go.
Print edition is sold out, but a digital edition is available. Oh man, you bongs! Damn it! I could probably find somebody
You snooze,
selling
you
it.
lose. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure somebody's selling it. They got an Infantino issue. I've got the Al Plastino book. I got the Herb Trimpe one. I got the Sal Buscema one. I mean the Joe Sinnott one. I got a bunch of these.
See, Herb Trimpe's sort of the two artists I think of for the Hulk are Herb Trimpe because he was the one doing it when I first bought it. The first one I got was Hulk 112, and actually my sister bought that one for me. I think I was sick, and she went to the 7-Eleven and bought it, and hey, maybe you like this one. And and then the Steve Ditko ones, because the Tales to Astonish stories were some of the earlier ones I read too.
There's she says there's no live tab when I go to Clobby's channel, so I don't see the upcoming streams. I don't know what the deal is with that, Fiona. Thanks for telling me that. I really appreciate it. Wow. I do appreciate that for you telling me though. DJ Ronnie G, what's up, buddy? So we're gonna go ahead and start shuffling on out of here. Any final words, Dbud?
Well, first, happy birthday to George Tuska.
Yes.
One of the greats. He was there for a long time. People just, a lot of people don't know how long and how much work he did and how many different places he worked at and characters he drew. He drew almost everything. So just don't want people to forget about him. He wasn't a big a name as Kirby or Ditko or Swan and all these other guys, but he did a lot of work over a long period of time, and he pretty much did work for almost every single publisher out there. So.
Well, we have paid homage to him, and we will do it again. We'll do another Tuska issue next if you want, and I'll get the digital book and we'll show. I'm gonna get it on digital since I can't get the hardcover. And she says, Fiona also says I'm not the only one because I've heard several people say the same thing. Well, I appreciate that, Fiona, for you bringing that to my attention. I don't know what I can do about it, but I'll try to think of something for sure. Thank you.
What's always drives me crazy when I see streams that are upcoming. If I go to a YouTube channel, you can never see it on the channel. Like it doesn't show you upcoming videos. You got to hit that notification bell in the top right and then kind of scroll through it or go to the home page and just kind of scroll down. That's what I do. And if I see a video I want to watch, I'll say notify me or set notification if I'm going to miss it.
No,
but it's really
it might depend on devices too. I mean, I don't have any problems getting. I usually get all of the reminders
Yeah,
pop-ups,
I
all
get
that.
them all the time. Mine
Yeah.
on my phone and everything. But this is not the first time I've heard things like this, like she said. But I don't know. But it is disturbing. Mark D, anything before I start do my show notes and get out of here?
Well, just reminder that we'll do the watch party earlier tomorrow, maybe 5:30 or 6. I'm not sure when. I'll check for my schedule for UFO episode 9, which I can't remember the name of it right now, and look forward to review that on the. Yeah,
Well,
look forward.
Since I wrench for so many of these people, I just thought I'd mention that, our good buddy Brian, that 70s rock fan, he's going to be hosting Pop Culture Minefield tomorrow morning. And he's been having the Rock and Roll Rowdies on his Monday shows. And he's going to have all of them on the show for the Pop Culture Minefield show tomorrow morning.
Oh,
so
excellent.
if you want to hop on there tomorrow.
Excellent.
It's 10 o'clock
10
Central.
10 Eastern? 10 Central.
10 Central, yeah.
10 Central, everybody. Please go to that 70. Well, actually, it's on Pop Culture Minefield.
Yep.
So,
yep. Excellent.
Steven says, I've given up on YouTube notifying me of your and other channels live streams. I manually search the channel and see if you have one scheduled for that particular day. I try to get things scheduled earlier. What's it? I got to punch in Clobberin Times at the homepage to see upcoming Clobby show. Says Hungry Boy. Wow, damn. Anyway, everyone go watch 70s tomorrow on Pop Culture Minefield. And let's see here. Okay, show notes are quickly. Tomorrow night, the clubhouse will be in session. I'll be at Midnight's Edge After Dark at 6 p.m. with Tom and the gang. And then after that, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, the clubhouse with Raquel and Mark. And we'll talk some Tales of Tomorrow and some Jerry Anderson's UFO and a lot of other geeky stuff. And then I'll be over there hanging out with Nick and the gang Friday night for their Friday night comic shop gang. We are reviewing Adam Warlock, the Adam Warlock run by Jim Starlin of the early 70s. And of course, with the great Hunger Boy hanging out with us. So that's been a lot of fun doing that. And then Saturday night Star Trek. Our wonderful first officer will be taking a break. She'll be on a leave of absence. She's on an away mission. So there will be no reviews of Deep Space Nine this week, but that doesn't make Saturday night Star Trek go away. I will be here, and I'll just talk all things Star Trek, real deal Star Trek, of course. Don't know what we'll do. We'll just fly by the seat of our pants and have a good time. Taking some Star Trek, and of course, there's the Sunday Night Geekery with the great Mark D with the C's channel.
Thank you.
With us, the engineer. We were always there 10 Eastern time for that. And then let's see here. I'm on with J-Man. Now it's a regular occurrence. We were reviewing all of the appearances of the Legion of Superheroes in order. 1958 through 1989. The only ones that matter in order. So we have two more comics of that with J-Man and Sean, and I will be reviewing Monday night. And then, of course, I'll have my Monday night regular time slot at 9 p.m. Central. Jason Sandberg of the crowdfunded comic book Jupiter will be joining me again. And in the not too distant future, if I can make it happen, this is a tough assignment I'm having. I never should have tried to sign up to do this again. Can't believe I just announced it, but now I got to stick to it. This is a tough job. Can I do it? Can even Clobby do it? I don't know. Clobby can't do shit.
That's a toughie.
This is a toughie for me. 25, I'm an idiot, but I'm going to try it. Top 25 all-time favorite comic stories soon. Hopefully before June.
Wow.
I'm daunted.
I think annual number 7 has got to be in there, I hope. But don't want to, no spoilers, but.
It actually might be. In fact, I've been meaning to write that down just in case. So, no, I'm not kidding.
I think the Night Nurse 1 through 4 is probably on his list too.
It might make the list, but I don't know with that thing annual. Good night, everybody. Thank you, everyone. And clobber on, clobber.
Clobberanimo! I just love clobbering time.